This conflict is not about Israel-Palestine only. Let's understand the larger game here. Are there bigger fault lines now showing in the global order in 2023? Three main issues to talk about. Normalization of ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Long-time discord between the United States of America and Iran. And for the Middle East, dominance of one power. The Western nations for now are standing in solidarity with Israel. Solidarity rallies are now also being organized even in South American countries like in Chile and Argentina. In the latest now, United States of America, United Kingdom, France, Germany and Italy have released a joint statement, and I quote it here. Our countries will support Israel in its right to defend itself. We support equal measures, justice and freedom for Israel and Palestine. But Hamas offers nothing for Palestinian people other than terror and bloodshed. Listen now to what the Western leaders have said.
Hamas and the people who support Hamas are fully responsible for this appalling act of terror, for the murder of civilians and for the kidnapping of innocent people, including children.
Dieser Überfall der Hamas auf Israel ist furchtbar.
This Hamas attack is terrible and it is barbaric. In these dark hours for the Jewish state, Germany stands firmly by Israel's side. First of all, as the Chancellor has just done, I would like to once again express my full solidarity with Israel.
And now, United States of America has also moved warship toward the border close to Israel if assistance is required. Here is some context for you. For months now, Saudi Arabia and Israel with the United States have been discussing an agreement, which is to normalize relation between Saudi and Israel. The US even making it clear that relations between its two allies in the Middle East is a top priority, with senior diplomat Antony Blinken declaring it a national security interest. This could have been a huge game changer of the route in West Asia, a sort of acceptance of Israel's existence. But before all this could solidify, the attack on Israel happened and counter-strikes now into the Gaza Strip. Thomas Friedman writes in the New York Times, and I quote it here, any prolonged Israel-Hamas war could divert more US military equipment needed by Kyiv in Ukraine to Tel Aviv in Israel. It will make the proposed Saudi-Israeli normalization deal impossible for now. And if it turns out that Iran did encourage the Hamas attack to scuttle that Israel-Saudi deal, it could raise tensions between Israel and Iran, and also with Tehran's Lebanese proxy Hezbollah, and also between Saudi Arabia and Iran. This is an incredibly dangerous moment on multiple fronts. Listen in now to India Today's reporter Gaurav Sawant. He's presently reporting from Israel on the ground. And does this look like turning into a bigger escalation?
We're already seeing signs of escalation, whether it's on the border where the Hamas forces are being taken on by the Israeli forces, or the Hezbollah along the Syrian border and the Lebanon border. They were targeting, the Hezbollah targeted a radar station of the Israeli forces, they claim, and that's disputed territory once again.
Remember, one, that Hamas's top leadership are based not in Palestine, but in Qatar, from where they receive military and financial support. And I'm talking about billions of dollars. It could have helped the Palestinian society, but instead was spent amping up the militia facilities. Two, Hamas's unprecedented attack on Israel has received a welcome from Iran, which is believed to be the main player in encouraging Hamas to attack Israel, possibly to complicate the historic process of normalization between Saudi and Israel, which is Iran's arch rival. Because the normalization in some way accepts Israel's existence for Saudi and could have altered global geopolitics, specifically between the Sunni world and a Jewish state. USA is known to have supervised this normalization deal and would have likely taken credit. But USA does not get along with, again, Iran, which also exhibits as a Shia world's leader. Would Iran want that dominance to be taken away by the United States of America and Israel, both so-called arch rivals and enemies? Iran has regularly accused Israel of killing its senior officials. Like last year, Iran blamed Israel for killing its top nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, with a remote-controlled machine gun while he was traveling in a car outside Tehran. Also remember, Iran referred to an American airstrike that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in January 2020 and also accused Israel's involvement in that. Third point, Tehran is known to have a proxy militant group, Hezbollah, in Lebanon that also indulged in rocket fire with Israel from another border right when Hamas extremists attacked from the Gaza Strip. Now Israel has deployed tanks at the border with Lebanon, and there is a constant exchange of that rocket fire. In Lebanon, Hashim Safieddine, the head of the Executive Council for Hezbollah, delivered a fiery speech appreciating the era of armed resistance. The highlight in all of this, Hezbollah is known to be backed by Iran again. Now listen in to Joe Truzman, an expert on Middle East affairs and based in Tel Aviv, if Damascus and Syria could also offer support to Hamas and thereby to Palestine, making this a multi-pronged conflict.
Israel is in a hostile neighborhood, as many of us know. So there are groups in Gaza, there are groups in the West Bank, there are groups in southern Lebanon, specifically Hezbollah, which many people know of. There are groups in Syria that are also hostile to Israel. So essentially, Israel is surrounded by hostile enemies.
Now, how does the United States of America come in all of this if this is about West Asia and specifically about Middle East? America's General C.Q. Brown, chairperson of the Joint Chief of Staff, has warned Iran, saying, "We do not want this conflict to broaden, and the idea is for Iran to get that message loud and clear. Our force posture movements are not only in support of Israel, but also to deter any other entities that might decide to support Hamas in this particular conflict with Israel," clearly suggesting that if Iran is involved, USA will stop it and thereby enter into this conflict. Iran's statements are not helping. They are in fact adding to fire. President Ibrahim Raisi has urged Muslim governments to support the Palestinian nation while praising resistance effort by Hamas and Islamic Jihad, as well as in countries including Syria, Lebanon and Iraq. From a small militia group, Hamas, with all this backing, has turned into a powerful terror organization that even could invade Israel's sophisticated defense mechanism, and that has shocked the world. If Hamas grows powerful and comes to dominate in the region, it may help Iran and Syria and Qatar, but it will harm the Palestinian people and their cause to be seen being represented by a Hamas rather than a legitimate group that can be recognized across the world. And the strikes by Israel leading already to civilian casualties. And now the Russia-Ukraine angle. The two countries have been indulging in an ongoing war for almost 2 years now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned attacks on Israel and also offered support and solidarity. And on the other hand, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that creating a Palestinian state is the most reliable solution for peace in Israel, and that fighting alone will not ensure security. Now here's what he specifically said, and I quote it here. "Creating a Palestinian state that would live side by side with Israel is the most reliable path to solve this conflict." Russia also questioned the Western policy that Israel, as it states, should destroy the terrorists. But Russia adds that simply has not calmed down the situation at present. Now you realize how many layers are to this conflict, and each stands to benefit if the conflict escalates between Israel and Palestine. India, amid all of this, has sent out a statement against terrorist attacks in Israel and is cautiously watching developments. Because remember that India has had friendly relations with both Israel and Palestine, and even with Russia-Ukraine, currently engulfed in a war to which Prime Minister Modi had also said, "This is not the time for war." And we do hope that the world is listening. Thank you for watching.